Hello, hello. Few technical glitches, but I think I have it sorted. Let me know if I'm coming in loud and clear, audio-wise, and visually, I think I am. Okay, good to be back. There was no way I was able to do my stream last week. I had major dental surgery. Not major, as in it was so invasive that my mouth was swollen up and I couldn't speak properly. Basically, I didn't have my front teeth. And it's a good thing I had it done on the weekend because I had to at least let 2 days sit before I could put the plate in so I could sort of look respectable and go to work. So unfortunately, I couldn't really speak or show my face in public, not without being a little bit embarrassed. But anyway, I wouldn't have been able to speak, and it was a bit painful. Switch microphones. I have a love-hate relationship with this microphone. It is really good, but I don't think it's suited to my voice as much. Let me know what you guys think. It's a bit too detailed. You can hear everything, and I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think it's... Maybe I probably just don't know how to use it that well. And I think if I stuck with one microphone and I learned to use it really well, I'd kind of settle into it. But I keep switching which microphones I use. Plate, as in sort of I've got fake teeth at the front. While this heals, I've had 2 implants put in. I'm getting a bridge done. And then in a few months, when everything's okay, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get my final teeth and that'll be it for the rest of my life. Anyway. Human has a new plate, as in spinning plates? No. All right. It's good to do these again. I was talking with a friend of mine who knows about my channel, and he said, that's kind of a bit brave of you doing a live stream, because he, like we're perfectionists. We like planning, we sort of go into the details, we get obsessed with things. And this is really outside of my comfort zone. There's absolutely no control. But this is one of those things, and I don't know if any of you have that kind of personality. Let me know in the comments below the video, where I don't like most of us don't like when other people tell us what to do. But I also don't like when I don't allow myself to do what I should or want to do as well. And it's because of fear, insecurity, and whether it's the typical thing we tend to talk about in terms of being socially afraid, or on dates you're not sure what to say. I never like that about myself. It seems like such an easy thing that you should be able to do in life. It's my right to enjoy my life. Like, why can't I go out into the sunlight? Why can't I talk to people? They're people just like me. Why can't I have a social life? Why am I denied this? Why am I denying myself? And that's part of my curiosity, because I've known whenever I have just allowed myself to enjoy something, get good at it, and overcome that little obstacle, you feel proud, you learn something new, all that kind of stuff. So live streams for me were definitely out of my comfort zone of perfection and planning and, writing the script and getting everything perfect. I mean, my videos now, I really enjoy the editing. The editing for me is the most enjoyable thing. I really love putting it together, putting like a little story intro, making it look good, the sound, the audio, things like that. The sound, audio, same thing, human. The sound, the video. So, Yeah, it's kind of like we're afraid of what other people are going to think. We're afraid that we're not going to be good enough. Like the videos aren't going to be good enough. Like the date's not going to think you're funny enough. You've got to learn game or a joke, or you've got to have interesting things to say, uh, rather than giving yourself permission to just kind of be the person that your friends and family like, and just learning to stay in that mode, like I am here, kind of stay in my friends and family mode here, stay in your friends and family mode on a date. I know, genius, huh? Anyway, if you guys want to ask a question, make sure you put a whole bunch of emojis before your question just so I can visually see them. Hopefully a brightly colored one, not a dark one, over here on the right. If you're live, if you're watching this after the fact, don't message me asking me why I'm not answering your questions like 3 hours from now. And if it's, as long as it's a sensible and civil question. 1 sentence long. Quasimandias says yeah, ultra compressed. But also this microphone, yeah, I'm going to switch. I'm not a fan of this microphone. Old Faithful. Okay. How is this? This should be a lot smoother. Whoa. Okay. How about... See, this is real time. Rolling with the punches. Okay. Ta-da. Right. I think this is better. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Let's get to some of the questions. Okay, nice segue. I want to read Quasimandias' question on the latest video. He said, this entire conversation can be made a lot more concise and certainly more actionable if one simply adopts a mature posture with good boundaries and won't tolerate abuse from anyone, regardless of gender or anything else. That's really all one needs to do. One might be interested in the details behind why so many people can relate to each other from a position of abuse and threat and harm, punishment and the rest, but ultimately that's another issue entirely. Yes, I've been guilty of it. I think a lot of us have as well, because especially YouTube, it's kind of this, it's a very personal Netflix channel where you can find every little picadillo that you're into, and then you can get lost in the weeds, and you can think that you're clever. You can think that you're like some Einstein of a very particular esoteric, corridor. And then you think that because you're an expert in this little thing, that when you go out there, nothing will touch you, that you're like a superhero. But the problem is you've gone so far into, esoteric, subjective world that you can't even sort of chit-chat with somebody. You can't even just let go and just say hello and how are you and see the person. You are stuck in intellectual, theoretical university mode. And the other person's in, hey, I'm just a person, I'm a friend, I'm a date, I'm whatever. And you're there sort of giving them a dissertation, or you're giving them a lecture on something. Yeah, you're almost like you're almost there giving them a Q&A podcast. And that's one thing I noticed as well when I look back on a lot of my recorded podcasts and things of the past, that I was in that kind of mode where I felt like I was on an interview and I wasn't really myself. And I was just trying to tread water in this situation. And then after a while, I just kind of threw it all away. And doing these streams helps. where you just come across awkward. And yeah. So I lost my train of thought. But anyway, I agree with Quasmendice's statement. Like, we can get lost in all these details, but often keeping it very simple is the key. I repeat the simplicity of, you know, maybe some simple solutions, or simple things that I try and remember myself. Like, you know, think of what you want. It's not only one person in the relationship, there's two of you. It should be a reciprocal tennis match. Fairness, is it fair? Can you live with this? Or are you just tolerating it? Is it love? Or is it pity? Those very important and sharp questions, just to kind of splash cold water on your face, they are often the best, rather than this sea of grey intellectual little dissertations and quotes and memes and being clever, and being very intelligent about things. But a lot of that intelligence, we drift away from the normal conversation you'd have with a friend or a date. And I think that's the distance we create for ourselves with an everyday person. It's hard enough for men and women to get together, let alone if you make yourself even further away from the average woman. You want to find a particular woman for you amongst all the average women, if you want to. I can hear the guys saying, I don't want any woman. If you want to. It's hard enough. But if you actually make it almost impossible for even a compatible woman to get near you because you're so intellectually buried into your defensive hole, and there's never a simple answer for anything in a conversation. Like, they ask you something and there's a complex answer. And look, I'm guilty of this too. Sort of, because I'm interested in something, I jump into the deep end, and all of a sudden I leave the person behind. Like, you need to have the person with you in the conversation. But yeah, the simple answers are the best. We get lost in these clever intellectual things, and sometimes you miss what's in front of you, good or bad. Guys miss what the bad in front of them. They don't acknowledge the obvious red warning signs, and they excuse it. Like, nah, intellectually she's this and this and this, and I know this and this, and I can game her, and I can get this, and I'm in control of this situation. Whereas it should just be a no. But you want to get clever and intelligent about things. Or it could be a good person for you, but you're so clever that it's like, no, I'm smarter than her. I'm never going to be taking advantage of a woman. But you fail to see that she's Jane or Jill or whoever. She's an individual person where even the person that matches for you, you won't let them in because you're too clever for women. So it's pretty good to keep it back to basics, and it's always something I remind myself of, because I get too clever for myself a lot of the times. And this is why I try and keep my videos and these conversational, because when we get too rigid, when we get too sort of axiomatic and everything's idealistic, right? We're so idealistic, and it's great to be idealistic, you know, because you're setting a high, clear bar. But if you don't allow any sort of human being to exist there, if it's only for the superheroes, and you aren't a superhero either, like, no one can match up to it. It's a great compass. It's a great thing to aim for. If you're always moving in the direction of high values, and you might be a perfectionist, that's good. But I don't think we should always be there mentally, and we're deaf to sort of the human, sort of the lower area of chit chat, and having people in your life, and knowing if your life's balanced or not. But we're always living in sort of some intellectual target perfection that we never achieve, but we think, oh, it's a good virtue. Yeah, it's a good theoretical one anyway. Anyhow, enough blabbing, human. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a question, a sensible one. Remember, I'm not very big on geopolitics and what's going on around the world. I can give a pedestrian answer, but I'm much more interested in the personal, the philosophical, everyday life, if you want to talk intelligently, because that's kind of where we live ultimately. That's what we're touching. Most of the tactile part of life that a lot of people forget, their blind spot, is the everyday life. And if you can intelligently talk about it and conduct yourself through it, that's for me a better use of my time and frankly what I'm interested in. Whereas the stuff all the stuff out there, you know, some endangered species, the environment stuff, it's all important. But if you don't treat your life as importantly and you don't put your hands on your own life, I think it's just a convenient virtue signaling to go, oh, the whales, the environment, the this and that, but your life doesn't resemble anything like the virtues you're shouting over the horizon to save the planet. Anyhow, how's this microphone, Quaz? Does this get your thumbs up? Fit Fingers says, hey human, have you seen any compilations of reject modernity, embrace masculinity type of videos from channels like Yesterday? If so, what's your take? I haven't seen those. I'm guessing this kind of reject modernity, embrace masculinity, it's kind of like a very survivalist. Again, I've noticed over time, there's an inability for me to talk to guys that it's almost like, I don't know if they spend too much time online and it's great. Like I've made some good friends online. Segue, I just did a long 3-hour recorded conversation with a bunch of guys on Discord. Check it out. The link to it's in my community section, or if you're subscribed to my chat channel, go there. I just posted it about half an hour ago. But I found that most guys, life and these topics to them are like video games. They want to debate, they want to win, they want to get the highest score, they want to figure the puzzle out, and they just don't want to have a conversation. And by that I mean you can have your opinion and I can have mine, but there's not this live and let live attitude. It's this, I want to win, there's a target, I must score, I know this, and that's the only truth, and everything else needs to be kind of shot down. And they talk in memes. But there's very little sort of I have my opinion. I disagree with you, human, and yada yada yada. And it's kind of intelligent and civil and stuff. I kind of miss those conversations. There were much more of those back in the day, and now there's less of them. It's much more combative, and if people are agreeable, a lot of them tend to speak in memes, but not through their own experience. They haven't chewed through a lot of this. They're talking through, they're throwing memes and sayings at me by much more intelligent people than them or myself. And it's kind of like, yeah, great. You can remember a quote by someone more intelligent. I think the lesson there is for us to try and be as intelligent as that quote and come up with our own ones. You know, not necessarily that we need to sort of pontificate about and sort of, you know, put up online to sort of pat ourselves on the back. But if you admire a writer, someone who's spoken to you, try and lean in that direction so you can start speaking. If their words speak to you, like if they're sort of your words, or you wish they were your words, or they speak better than you, or they communicate what you only feel, but you love the way they say it, and you know they're saying exactly what you're feeling and what the answers to your problems are. Lean in that direction and learn to think and speak like that in your own words, and I think your life will be better. That's what I did, and the people I speak to that I can get along with, and they got their own words, they seem to chew on their own stuff. Don't just parrot words from a book or a video and like so and so said blah blah blah, and then your next sentence is like such and such said blah blah blah. What about what you said? Anyway, remember, you want to ask a question, put a bunch of emojis before your sentence. The depth of field on this camera I like. I don't like the picture though. Anyway. A comment by Meshuggin8 says, on my latest video, I know all this about women. And in case, I know there's a lot of people are going to think, oh, Human thinks he knows all this about women. I was sort of making fun of myself as someone who was too clever, or one of the people out there who think because they know more about a particular subject than other people that they don't have to interact, or they're above them, or they can take their hands off the steering wheel. He actually said in under this video, he said, some of us are broken and won't be going back. And this is important, and I agree with this. If you've had enough, or you've been broken beyond repair, I don't like when people say, oh, just, you'll find the right person. And you're not actually listening to the person. No, this person isn't trying and he's asking for help, or she's asking for help. They're done. They're broken. Like this car, the wheels have fallen off. Oh, you can still go if you try. No, you can't. The fuel's left. And it's very different. Sometimes it's condescending when I hear people like, they're not listening to the person's experience, and the person's saying, no, I'm not looking for advice to go on. I'm telling you, this is done from my life. Oh, but you don't give up. It's like, no, I've given up. And I particularly hear a lot of women say this because men ask them out, men try towards women, men try in society. We're the ones that put our hands on the world and do something with it. That there's something in most people that don't want guys to give up because we're the doers. And especially I've noticed women don't listen to men. Most of the time they don't care what men think or say anyway. They're trying to reinterpret men through what they want. But when a man says like, I'm done, they hear, oh, romantically, don't give up, she's out there. So I respect people who really know that I'm done. They cut off like all their dating profiles. They change their life in such a way where they're 100% sure. In the same way you're a person that's 100% sure if you do something positive in your life, where people say, oh, that's a bit risky. It's like, no, I'm doing it. I know. And everyone's telling you about the gray area of, like, not even the gray area. Everyone's kind of warning you about all the possible negatives. Being sure about what you want is very, very important. Being sure about what you don't want, like absolutely, and being sure about what you do want. And obviously you could be wrong in both instances, but sort of just, spinning your wheels in nowhere, again, being intellectual and going nowhere, it's worse. You waste your time. At least try, fail. But calculated if you can. But yeah, I respect people no matter what they do or don't want to do for themselves that's not affecting anyone else. Good for you. The guy next door says, most guys go, oh, I hope this date will be fine and that she will like me. But the most important question is, do I like her? The famous quote from the late great Patrice O'Neill, the comedian. He's talking about his frustrations with women, and like all these women talk about love, do you love me? And he's saying, woman, I don't even like you. And the joke was said better than that, but basically the premise is kind of everyone's jumps to love and they don't ask themselves, do I even like this person? Can I stand being around them? Are they so challenging that I need time away from them? Can I hang around them effortlessly? Do I look forward to being with them? Do I always feel drawn to them? Is my life lesser than? Do I really feel I need to be around them all the time? They're important questions, not like my last ex. It was, I couldn't wait to get back home. Like have some time with her and then just give me my space. They're all important questions, and my videos, these are the things I'm always trying to get you guys to think about yourselves. What do you think? Do you feel comfortable None of this, oh, well, relationships are supposed to be hard work, everyone tells you, or you need to try more or again, but you don't trust your gut. It's your gut saying, I don't like this. I don't like being here. And you refuse to say why with a capital W. Why? What do I think? Okay, who cares about her and everyone else's expectations? What do I really want? Or instead of other people might be telling you to put your foot on the accelerator and go faster and further and take the next step in a relationship, and you're saying no. And you can't say no. Why can't you say no? Again, fairness. Like, why can't I not give an answer right now? Why is she annoyed that I'm not giving her the yes that she wants, or I can't give her an exact answer? Why isn't she happy with, let me think about it? I need time. But she doesn't want to give me time. She pressures you. These are all important questions, and they're not so much about getting annoyed that, oh, she doesn't give me time. It's, why do you feel pressured to explain yourself? Why isn't a simple no okay? Why do your friends allow you the space to say no or let me think about it, but she doesn't? These are all questions in your court. And it's very easy, because we love or like this person or we want to be with them, to sort of say, oh, I've got to work her out. I hate it when she says this. And what do I say? What do you want to say? How do you feel? Express how you feel. If she spurgs out, because the bottom line is, if someone cares about you like your family and friends, positive, negative comments, they will understand, they will try and understand because they care about you. If they don't, it's all about them. So try making it a little bit about you. This is my advice. Respectful selfishness. If I could sum up the majority of, like, you know, the umbrella over most of my videos, all of my videos, is respectful selfishness. You know, the golden rule. Use the golden rule selfishly, as self-servingly, as in such a self-interested way that you know it's fair. Like, the way you act is what you'd expect in return. Ted1775. Spec, how are you, dude? Sorry, I thought you were asking me how was I going. I'm offended. Keenan D says, she will not feel safe with you if you cannot tell her the truth, even if it is unpleasant. Yes, this kind of links to what I just said. Good news, bad news. If you have to keep ghosts in, if you have to suppress information that makes Pumpkin's smile go horizontal or downward, then that's not a good thing. If you can only go to a certain other person to talk about very, very important subjects, good or bad, then that's not a good thing. If you have a lover, a, you know, wife, whatever, husband, whatever you want to do, whatever relationships you want to have, if you have to compartmentalize them, but especially with, like, your romantic partner, by dint of the fact that you spend the most amount of time with them, but if you have to keep really important aspects that you really want to open up and get off your chest, you can't talk to them about. And I see so many couples that are married and they've had children, they've been together there, and they are separate people. They are roommates, they get along because they both agree to love their children or their lifestyle. You know, they bought a ticket to Morocco, and both of them don't want to live there, but they signed on the dotted line and they don't want to lose everything they have. Yeah. If you can't be the most open with your wife, romantic partner, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to do, like that closest person in your life, then really, I think intuitively most of us know this, but we like to, again, be intelligent and say, I can fragment my life, I can compartmentalize, because look, when I play video games, I'm there, I'm in this space. So, and then when I go to work, I'm in this space. So why can't I just, when I can be in boyfriend mode, and then I play that game, and then I stop that game, and then I play the, you know, me alone mode, or like whatever it is. Like, it's better not fragmenting yourself, I found. I'm no good at, and I think a lot of guys are similar to me, we can't focus on many things at the same time. I can only do one thing at one time. And I know with romantic relationships, the best ones I've had is where I don't have to sort of really be, I don't want to have to think about the other person or give time to them. You know, just like my family and friends, there's this ambience of us being in each other's lives, not, you know, like a job. You know, I got to give time for my job. I got to give time for my fitness. I think relationships with people, there's much more of an ambience about it. It's kind of more immersive rather than compartmentalized, or at least it should be. Of course, when you're focused and having a conversation with a person, it's much more focused. But I'm talking about sort of the umbrella effect in your life. It's not the same as hobbies and things. You stop and start those. The relationship with people is much more ambient. Alex S. It's a great name for trying to speak with my current condition. Alex S. I think most men seek for common traits and behaviors in different women, and doing so kind of depersonalizes them, not just because it's kind of a shortcut and it's easier to blame everything on some general women's nature and so on. So in my opinion, and based on my own experience, it's just utterly depressing to realize after a couple of relationships that your experience doesn't mean SHIT in future attempts to build something stable and long-term, exactly because in the end, every woman is just so unique, and that most of the time you can't really rely on lessons of your past. You can, especially if you see them pop up like a sore thumb beforehand, and you can talk about them. He continues, every time you need to begin from scratch in some way. That I agree with today. I've talked about this in recent videos. In the past, society kind of chaperoned men and women with the first couple of steps, like how we treated each other. We didn't hate each other. We wanted to be with each other. And then with that formal introduction as man and woman and how a man and woman are supposed to act toward each other, then when you start talking or you're on a date, then it's all personal. Now it's all physical, and then people get together and they can't say anything. So it's just all these empty shells with nothing to say. And so, of course, hookup culture is great and it's normal because there's nothing else to do. Like, no one has a vocabulary. No one has any sort of developed, interesting personality. And if they do, they're so afraid, or they don't think the other person will like it or like them. And then they say, oh, no one sees the real me. It's like, well, if you don't show any part of the real you, can you really blame the other person for not seeing what's not shown? It's different if you keep telling the person, this is me, I keep saying this, you don't listen, you keep doing this thing I don't like, I keep saying we need to talk and you never want to talk. That's different. You're trying to communicate and it's oil and water that don't mix. But I'm talking about people that are just, their vocabulary is like, yeah, like whatever, you know, this is cool. Have you heard this song? Oh, they're so great. Let's go here. Let's go there. Let's buy this. Let's go to bed. That's like, they're just doing stuff, and it's banal chit chat that has nothing to do with personal connection between two people. They're not friends. They're, you know, even friends with benefits today, there's no friend there. It's just body with benefits. Seems to me anyway. Boffin said in a previous video last week I did the video of what if I'm super nice. He said, to use a guy analogy, when your heart is set on catching a fish and you've spent 10 long hours before you get a bite, you will do anything you can to reel the fish into the boat. So to your question, the answer is an absolute yes, yes, yes. You know, and the lesson to be learned is desperate fishermen are too often attacked by the sharks they reel into their boats. Yeah. Yeah. Guys spend all this time chasing this woman that it takes a lot for him to say no to all the effort he's put in. It's a hard one. But you do need to be aware of it, because, and I think a lot of girls realize, even instinctually, this effort. They kind of stay passive. They agree with the guy because they know once the guy's in love, he's gone to all that effort and he's chosen her and like it's committed. Yeah, we're a couple, we're exclusive. And then she lets her guard down and shows who she is. That's very common. Happened to me a lot. I've done a lot of videos about this, about putting the mask on to get along, like you're in the probation period of a job. Both men and women do this, but women especially, because a guy asks her out, has to be funny, has to impress her, has to be romantic. Not has to be, but generally is expected to be. And a woman can actually get into a committed relationship by just staying silent and saying, yeah, oh yeah, me too. And she's basically agreeable. She doesn't show any of her real personality that might be unique and different to him. And he says, oh wow, we get along so well. And really, he's just getting along with himself. He's getting along with a mirror that's not really showing who she is. He falls in love with an image of himself that's agreeable. And then once he's in love, they're committed. She starts to drop the mask, and all of a sudden there's all these problems. And then people go, oh, honeymoon period. And I'm always saying, push and demand that she reveals who she is. Ask questions. Talk about relationships, exes, whatever, politics, whatever's important to you. Reveal who you are. And if she's like, I don't want to talk about that, I don't talk about that, I've dealt with that, that's negative. I've had that in the past. That's negative, human. Oh, you're still hung up on that. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm trying to find out about you through your past. I want to know. I want to know what you've learned. I don't care about the details of your ex. Don't even tell me his name. I don't care. I want to know you through how you think, what you've learned. Do you have any humility about the lessons, or are you perfect? Like, I want to know about you, but a lot of people refuse to look into their past, not to sort of whip themselves, but to sort of reveal that they've come a long way. So, yeah, good comment. Often. Nicholas V says, something I hate about modern relationships is that you have to maintain frame 24/7, don't be yourself and don't care about anything, be ready to leave at any moment, never be vulnerable, that kind of mentality. A relationship is supposed to be something peaceful. Yes, where both members can be the way they are and enhance their lives, instead of an energy-consuming facade that turns into the battleground, into a battleground at any moment. It's not worth the effort, and that's why I went monk mode. That was really well said, Nicholas. I'm going to find that comment and pin it to the top of the video. Yeah, a relationship is supposed to be something peaceful where both members can be the way they are and enhance their lives, instead of an energy-consuming facade. Does it drain you? Or do you get recharged? Do you look forward to seeing your partner? And I know a lot of, there's some coaches in the manosphere that say, don't refer to your girlfriend or, you know, your significant other as your partner. She's not your partner. You're up here, and it's like, oh, it's like, yeah. We're different, yeah. But this kind of, it's all about me mentality. Yeah, look, you want a puppet, get a doll, fine. But there's who are you going to talk to if you're always in charge? Just even mentally, if you don't allow the other person to exist. Or, you know, when you drink something and you expect it to be something, but it's completely different. You don't remember what you put in. I thought I put in water, or put coconut water, and for a split second, oh, I don't know what I thought. Like, my brain just rebooted. Anyway, Visan C says, if we were to speak our minds, there would be no more relationships, and the human species would end because girls can't stand being told the truth. There's a thing called speaking maturely as well. Obviously, if you don't just come out, like,
if no one asks, you don't just say, oh, you're fat, lose some weight, you pig. There's a thing called tact and respectability and being mature and civil about things. I would say you you try as much as possible to always tell the truth to yourself, especially, and then temper that with a bit of tact. Like, you don't want to be rude to people. In the same way, if you were told this, you might say, well, I would appreciate absolute truth all the time. You would just kind of have combative relationships with people that don't understand the nuance of um, when they can kind of loosen their grip, be a bit softer, be a bit sort of sympathetically creative with how they speak. Like, there's this kind of I know that people appreciate, because if I can say things a certain way, that they really appreciate the way I've said it, but I've communicated exactly what I want to say. I think that's far better than just kind of having a hammer and always like just bashing everything into a, a simple extreme way of expressing it to other people. You're not going to make people comfortable unless you're talking about things, because if you're starting to talk about personal things that affect you and them, they're going to feel uncomfortable talking to you, because they know you're the person that's always direct and blunt and rude, and you don't care if you hurt anyone's feelings. We don't like people like that. It might be entertaining when they're talking about other people and you go, oh, can you believe what Jim said? But then when Jim starts talking that way about you, when he's that frank, it's... Yeah, again, it's this comment where all women are like this. It's, yeah, all women have a certain nature. If you treat all women as that, but when you're going on a date, if you're actually looking for a person in your life, if you don't focus on the traits you want as a friend, the person that's compatible with you as an individual person, what individual is compatible with this individual? If you just think you're all men, you have to be an alpha, you have to earn money, you have to start a business, you have to do all this stuff where you're a cookie cutter, high value man who talks about everything high value men talk about, you're going to get those empty bimbos as well, which, by the way, are the most dangerous women you can pick. But what I'm advocating, if you do choose to still date, or if you want to find somebody, is recognize first and foremost that you're an individual and you want another individual that fits with this. Because the world that you want in a relationship is very, very esoteric, right? It's a very solipsistic existence where this is your bubble. Yeah, we can talk about other people. We can be entertained by watching, popular YouTube channels where they kind of go, can you believe what happened with these people? Look how unfair they are. Look how much they fight. Look at what she said. Look at what he did. But you don't want that in your personal relationship, which is why a lot of people depersonalize it. I say the most enjoyable and comfortable you can actually have, life you can have with people, is to personalize everything. If you just want to be alone, that's fine. You can depersonalize everything. And then everyone is entertainment. Everything in life is a video game and you just exist on your own. And that lone wolf mentality, very, very few of us can sort of do that. Okay, where are we? Boffin says, if Johnny Depp wins his case, do you think it will translate into a broad recognition of the issues discussed for years in the men's community? I was asked this question by a friend of mine the other day, and I said that... because women really don't care about men in general, the only way this will slowly change over time, the Johnny Depp thing, is if there's more and more Johnny Depp cases that start to normalize that, hey, women can be bad too. But if this is an isolated case and goes away and we kind of go back to the normal thing and we don't get another similar Johnny Depp thing reminding us that women can be bad too, I think we're just going to go back to the default, because our default, both men and women, love women. Not just men, women too. Men and women both believe women are angels, where they can't do any wrong, blah, blah, blah. But the only way this is going to slowly change the perception of, and get men and women to start thinking more fairly, that we can both be good and bad, we need to cooperate, what is fair between men and women, because this was a great test case of putting a relationship under the spotlight. I know it's a Hollywood one, but the common lessons just between two people who are trying to love each other, and to my mind, the video I made about them being very incompatible, this is the lesson to be learned, and how you can reflect upon your own relationships and the relationships you're trying to have. You don't, if you're like Johnny Depp, you don't want an Amber Heard, because they're opposite ends of the spectrum. Amber Heard needs kind of one of those psycho bad boys that a lot of the men's channels complain that, oh, this is all women want. She needs someone like her. She needs an a-hole. But this is a lesson. What happens when a really decent guy, admittedly his own fault, marrying her, but this is what happens. What's the lesson we can learn? And unless there's enough of these public spotlights of incompatible couples, and especially showing where women can act like wretches, they're not perfect, and the marketing gets tired. Like, of course, like I don't care about women are angels all the time. It's kind of like, no, we're human beings, and look at how this female human being is acting. The more those cases are shown over time, that's the only way things will change. But if this is an isolated case, we're going to go back to our animal brains and think that women are perfect because we want to protect them and they're beautiful. And women confirm what we feel. And so it all makes sense that we go back to normal. So not that I want these cases to happen, because it means that there's going to be a guy who's going through hell that we're using as a guinea pig, so society gets better over time. You can't make an egg you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. Well, I feel pity for the guys who have to be the omelette. No, the egg. James von Maxwell says, Quasimandice, human has the room treated with soundproofing. I think it sounds wonderful. It's naturally soundproofed. this room, my studio, is just full of books and natural sound dampening and carpet, so it's really dead. Yeah. Yeah, getting a multi-band compressor would help too. I may do it in the future. See, this is the thing us tech nerds always, we get one bit of tech and we go, solved, I've got this, wonderful, I don't need anything else. And the more you get into it, it's like, no, I want to fine tune, I want to get better, so I probably will. Although the mixer I have is pretty good. I'm using a Rodecaster Pro. It's kind of designed for this sort of stuff. Without buying like a studio multi-band compressor, it's kind of like, it's really not designed for this kind of stuff, and I'm going to be using like 2% of its capabilities. That's probably designed for other stuff, I don't know, but I may anyway. Enough tech talk, no one else cares. August Lyon, his comment under the video, what if I'm super nice? He said, most average guys like me have so few options with women, especially when we're young and unestablished, that we will bend over backwards to keep a woman around once we find a girlfriend. In hindsight, I put up with the atrocious behavior from women, and the fact that I rarely push back is what ultimately drove her away. All the red flags were there. In fact, the more tolerant I was of her bad behavior, the more she felt comfortable openly displaying those red flags. And all I ever wanted for my life was a good relationship and peaceful environment at home. Now I have one of them, and I am truly happy for it. Well, congratulations. This is the thing, like, we keep trying to be nice to someone else's kind of unfair anger. And it's like, all right, I'll be the better person. This is the instinct. We're not thinking this, but it's like, all right, I don't want to fight. Like, you kind of like, you're trying to throw cold water on her fire. And this is kind of what we do, and the person just keeps turning the flame up. And what you have to do is you just have to extinguish the fire. Civilly if you can. No, shut up. Shut the F up. But yeah, being tolerant, like again, the Johnny Depp case, like you can just be tolerant to an Amber Heard, and one day you reach a breaking point when your finger is cut off or something worse happens. He's lucky he's still alive. I mean, that's an extreme case. And like 99.9% of us, even in the worst relationships, like we won't approach those extremes. That's kind of like he went out with a pit bull that he refused to feed or something. I don't know. Bad analogy. Scott C. said, in my experience, often women will threaten to leave in response to speaking your mind. The wisdom I wish I had then was to help those same women to go and to get them out of my life. I would assume that is common, as I have experienced it several times within committed relationships. If you cannot speak your mind without receiving threats like this, it is not real. Yep. Again, I think it comes down to incompatibility too. You could have two people that are relatively kind of even-keeled, but when you're having friction with a personality that you just don't get along with, like we can't spend a lot of time with people that we're incompatible with, like just in simple get-togethers at barbecues. You kind of like, well, you know, you say hello, goodbye, then you kind of drift away because you can't be around them. There's no common ground. Your personalities don't mesh. And I think a lot of the anger that starts to happen is we're frustrated that we can't actually connect or talk or even get anywhere with a person that we're so incompatible with, but we just want to. We're trying to kind of hammer that square peg into a round hole, and we're blaming them for, like if you're a square peg, you're blaming her for not being a square hole. And she's blaming you for not being a round peg. It's kind of dumb. And especially if you don't speak, like I mentioned, if you're these couples that, if you're the couples that don't talk and you think you're just animals and, you know, men and women are the same, then your frustrations are compounded because you refuse to acknowledge that you need to get along individually. Jua J says, yeah, we can speak up and judge them on dates, but they have tenfold the options we have. So at the slightest hint of us not liking them, something about them, they ditch and go to someone that will do anything to be with them. Good. Again, I don't understand this. This isn't smart logic for me. Like, I get it in terms of like the average woman and average man. Men, like women will leave because they've got lots of options with other men. But why would you, my logic is, why would you want to stay with someone who doesn't value you, doesn't like you? You just have to be the puppet that fits her hand. And you bend over backwards trying to be her puppet. Yeah, whenever guys say things like this, well, if you don't do this and if you don't jump through hoops and if you don't do exactly what she wants, it's over. Good is my answer. Do you want to be anxious with that kind of person all the time? Turning up to a job where you're always in performance mode, where you have to switch your mode with her to such a different way than you do with your family and friends. That's what I'm always advocating. You don't have to be rude, but you have to speak up. Smart Guy says, I'll admit it, I used to do this. See, I like this. I'm trying to do this more on my channel. I want to make us more admit what we did, how we can be better, so we don't have these people in our lives. We don't make decisions like this anymore. We don't just say, yeah, it's kind of wrong, but it's kind of fun. Let's go through this merry-go-round again. I'm smarter, I'm older, I won't get hurt as much, but let me do the same thing with the same person. And I know when to get off sooner, so I don't get my feelings hurt. We need to admit and kind of look at our own decisions. Because people, the sea of different people out there, they're just going to be what they are. We can't wave a magic wand and everyone's going to be great. All you can do is change now who you do and don't let into your life. Who you tolerate, who you don't. As Quaz said, your boundaries. What do you want? Selfishly and respectfully. you don't have to say yes to, you need to cauterize and sever that instinct to say yes to every woman, to try and make every woman smile. He says, I used to do this, wanting it to work so much that I ignored my own boundaries, accepting her bad behavior as a result, and that's not sustainable. It either works and only needs a few tweaks now and then, or I move on. Exactly. There's going to be enough things in life between a compatible couple that it's challenging, but that's when you know that when you get along with a person pretty easily when times are good, when times become challenging where it might not be either of your fault, but you need to rely on each other, that's when it kind of can get a bit sort of harder. But if you know the other person's got your back, that you know their character, you know you can trust them. But if you're always fighting and walking on eggshells when times are supposedly good, especially in the honeymoon period where you don't get along and you're fighting, it's like, man, what's gonna happen when life is hard? And you want to marry this person? You want to have kids with them? Good luck. Ahmed Go said, people subscribe to Human, but do they even like Human? Did they click his stream's like button? Yeah. Here's me looking for validation. Do you like me? Click the like button. Subscribe, guys. In all seriousness, it helps the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't care. All it wants you to do is interact with my channel. So leave a comment, hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down, subscribe, hit the bell. It wants you, tactile on my channel. It wants you interacting. The moment you just subscribe and leave it, which I think you should, and just get notified when you want, set and forget, it doesn't like it. It wants your eyeballs and your mouse and you clicking on my channel. James Von Maxwell says, Neumann's, that's the top of the shelf. Yeah. Neumann's the gold standard of microphone. I do prefer for these a dynamic microphone though. I know Neumann's make dynamics as well, but the majority of them, they're known for their really, really nice quality condensers. Actually, you know what I'm getting into now? I'm waiting for it to come next week. I'm really getting into studio shotgun microphones. So next stream, you won't see a microphone. I'll test it by using it. It'll be out of frame. So it's basically a microphone that's similar to the microphone I use when I do my normal videos, that it's sort of just out of shot and it's pointed to my mouth, but this one's actually made for sort of broadcast. And I've liked how they sound. All right, any more questions? Mr. Highway says a pretty interesting thing. He says there are men walking around who haven't been able to be themselves since childhood. This is very true. It's very true. It cleared up a lot of why I unconsciously react in certain ways when I actually started to look at my childhood in detail and how certain events may have shaped how I unconsciously act now. Not to blame childhood, because a lot of people, I don't agree with staying in childhood and saying, well, there's nothing I can do. See, it's because that happened to me. Now you can actually, when you see it, then you can actually tame it. But if you don't know what it is, if it's a ghost haunting you, it's kind of making that ghost real and then being able to kind of destroy it or put it into its box where it doesn't touch you or doesn't affect you in an unconscious way anymore. But I kind of realized with my own that I was an only child, that my parents loved me and they still do, but they loved me as an only child until I was 9. And then my brother and sister came successively like a year or two after that. So I wasn't the focus. And so then it was kind of like you were loved exclusively, and then all of a sudden you became invisible. Not literally invisible, but to a child, that was a perception. And then I was always running after affections, like, mummy, daddy, like, come back. And I kind of looked at the effect that that may have had, and probably did, with my super niceness to women growing up, wanting them to love and like me, chasing after them, and not being able to say no because I didn't want them leaving me or going away. That was my little thing. But other people have had uh, more severe and traumatic things happen to them, where that no matter how much therapy they've had, and I kind of sort of I did my own therapy because of my intellectual curiosity. But a lot of people, no matter how much professional therapy they have, that's kind of tattooed into them. They need to constantly talk through it just to tread water because it affected them so much when they were children. Some people were sort of treated really badly, either what they didn't get, which is bad enough, but sometimes what happened, what they did get that was unfair or unjust, or awful things that happened to them that you can never undo. And it's most prominent when I noticed with me when I was growing up and going out with my buddies, when they would interact with girls, some of them would just be so relaxed talking to women, and I would be petrified of saying the wrong thing and how do I speak to women. And I just noticed, why am I like this? And they're just talking to them like they're talking to this girl like it's their sister, and I'm talking to her like she's some Hollywood celebrity, or it's a job interview. If I don't get it, I'm going to be homeless. It's like if it doesn't work with her, how do I approach her? Like my world will end. And I really noticed the difference. And I was like, why? And I'm frustrated about it, and thus why I am the way I am. I don't want to feel afraid. I love a calm life. I like good friendships. I like good relationships. I want to know how to have them, how to sustain them. And a lot of it is, most of it, no, all of it's out of my control. But the most control I have is what I choose and how I decide to interact, and what I can address. The past I can sort of address and sort of be better going forward. So the relationships I have are better, yada, yada, yada. Okay, shut up, human. Justin says, there's nothing wrong with being nice. It's the getting taken an advantage of for being nice that gets to me. I don't believe when someone says AWOLT, as in all women are like that. That's kind of like saying all shades of green are the same. Look, I'm not perfect. I've had good partners and bad. More bad than good. But I can chalk that up to not being great at weeding through the well-woven BS some can spout out. That's probably most of us, yeah. But yeah, a lot of times we want the mirage to be true, and we're not looking realistically at them. We're looking at them as some sort of romantic mirage. But if we can kind of take the rose-colored glasses and just treat them as I said, people first and as women second, and try and push as much as you can. I know it's hard. I know you like them. There's the hormones. It's like, wow, they're great. Everything's great. It's like, whoa, let's be kind of cold and neutral at the start. Let's just kind of hold that back. We know we feel this way. We want it, but it's kind of the discipline, the similar kind of discipline with getting fit and, saying no to the cookies or only taking a small bite because you're on a diet. Like the start of a relationship should be that kind of mentality, being ultra disciplined on a diet when you're really addicted to food. He continues, that's probably most of us, but to solely put the blame on others, that shows you have a lack of accountability for your actions. Yes, we can't keep pointing to women and we're not being accountable going forward. Yes, blame people in your past where the blame is due, where you were trying to be nice and trying to talk, even if you didn't know yourself, even if you didn't say no. But we can point when others were wrong, but we also need to point where we should be right now going forward. You made a decision to be with this person, therefore the blame cannot solely lie on the other party. Yes. You tolerated it. And a lot of guys said, well, I was passive, it's not my fault, I did nothing. You stayed. You did something. A lot of times, no choice is making a choice. You might think, well, I'm just being passive. It's the same with these girls that are passive at the start. Well, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. He led the relationship. You made a choice to stay too. You made a choice to say yes to him. You made a choice to go to bed with him. Yeah, but he led it. You let him lead it. So it does go both ways. So again, I understand all the arguments about, especially today, how women act. They act far worse than they ever did. But the only thing you can do is have as much control as you want to and are willing to have. And that's the best way to protect yourself and have a sanitary life as much as possible. Grim Dark Half Off says, just got through another phase of romanticism. I could use a steady diet of numbers, pills, weightlifting, health, and fitness. I put this in because it was funny. It's like you go through crap. It's like, oh, I could use a steady diet of gym now and feeling good about myself. But the downside is you go to the extremes of feeling so good about yourself that you have a warped sense of reality in terms of other people. But I thought it was funny. It's kind of like, compared to this train wreck I went out with, why wouldn't I want to be single, go to the gym, get fit, have my freedom, blah, 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 blah. Kicking Kanga says, dude, having a laugh has disappeared. In Australia, we have adopted the American style of taking ourselves too seriously, along with seeing you in court and suing you. Yeah. We're trying to be America too much. We have been for a long time. We forget to note that the great entertainment that used to come out of America, it was entertainment. It wasn't real life. And we wanted some of that in our reality. But we didn't realize that in America, they're just having ordinary lives like the rest of us. America isn't Hollywood. Vero says, what I've noticed is every single time I stopped going the extra mile for her, she plainly dumped me with all the common remarks of, I don't recognize you, you haven't changed, you don't care, etc. Since when a man has changed if instead of bringing home a dozen roses, he brings 6? Does it mean the gesture becomes negated because of the amount? Yeah. Yeah, if you can sum up what the women want, it's one word: more. And it's also, if a lot of times if a woman just changes, she gets bored, she will blame you for not pedaling faster in the relationship. Like, if you gave her 3 roses last week, you're supposed to give her 12 this week. Like, you're not keeping up with it. Like, whereas for me, it should be comfortable. Again, what does your gut tell you? Trust your gut, guys. A lot of guys don't want to trust their instincts because they think it's feelings. Ooh, we've been going for an hour. Again, did a long recorded conversation with a couple of guys from that I've gotten to know through the comment section of my channel. And if you guys want to jump on my public server, there's a Discord link there underneath this video, or underneath the about section. Especially the link is there underneath the about section of my YouTube channel. So if you have a microphone and you know how to use Discord, jump on my public server and you can have a chat with a whole bunch of other guys. Keep it civil, don't spurg out. Remember, like, have a different opinion, but try and think of this stuff as not a video game. This is life, and you want to take it seriously, and you want to work out your issues, and you want to have a mature conversation with a bunch of other people, and take your life seriously. Have a bit of fun. Don't be too cold about it. August Lyon says, I felt the exact same way in relationships where I felt like the tool that made her relationship happen. I had a girlfriend who used to parade me around her friends and family like I was an ornament, just something unique to bring attention to her. And that was when I truly believed it was my role as the man to make her happy. It was like a full-time job on top of the one I needed to pay the bills. Never again. Yeah. Do not have a relationship where it feels like another job. Even if it's like a small little part-time job on the side that you have to visit. Okay, 1 or 2 days a week, I got this little part-time job. It's no big deal. Like the majority of my life is my full-time job and I'm in control of it. But I've got this little part-time job on the side, 1 or 2 days a week, which is my relationship. Don't even have that. Any relationship that feels like a job. Be very honest about it. Another comment from Quaz on the older video, when he says, well, that's what your mum trained you to do and to expect. You were taught, 1, relationship means you agree to put her needs first, and 2, committed relationship means you serve her needs to the exclusion of yours. The best you can hope to achieve by unerring compliance is to not get dumped when the whole project is over or she gets bored. And you get the reward of spending the last days of your life doing chores for some old crone. If you call that winning, but few men anymore are even that lucky. But again, you are under no obligation to play by any of those rules. It can take a lot of time for many men to figure this out. See, we believe that Chicky Poo is attracted to us because of our assets. I like the term Chicky Poo. I think I'm going to use that more than pumpkin. Chicky Poo is attracted to us because of our assets or our fitness or status and any of that stuff. She's interested by those things, of course, but she has no interest in any of those if you don't exhibit those also, with the most critical trait, that of the willingness to comply with her whims, as none of those other traits are of any value to her at all. In fact, she sees them as threats. If the willingness to bend to her will from the very start isn't very much part of the deal, with a practiced eye, one will see that the tests of compliance start in most cases very quickly, but subtly. The wise man knows what's up and understands the prospect. Compliance is the trait most desired by most women, and nothing raises the relative value of man in her eyes more than this reticence in providing it. Yeah, if you're constantly setting boundaries and saying no, or let me think about it, if you're not constantly just a yes machine, she doesn't like it. She doesn't really want a tall, rich, high status man. She wants the tallest, richest, most high status man that she can bend to her will. That's pretty different. Yeah, women's kind of unrealistic fantasies are ridiculous today. It's even, I mean, women always wanted sort of a guy that was kind of taller, stronger, better in the ways that it kind of protect her and make her feel safe. But now she wants a superhero. You know, there's that meme where the girl's hugging Superman and there's a thought balloon and she's saying, is this really the best I can do? So you need to be Superman plus. You can't, like what women state on a lot of their TikTok videos and content is Superman is a low standard for most men. They are such queens that you need to be ultra Superman. Carl A says, "Don't ruin my day" was the line my ex used to use against me. So basically, anytime you didn't say yes to her, she would end it with saying, "Don't ruin my day. Shut up and just agree." Sounds like a fun relationship. You know, relationships are hard. That's just normal, man. You should have stayed. And for those of you who don't appreciate sarcasm, I don't mean he should have stayed. Place of Wisdom says, in my youth, I was naive enough to believe that I didn't need to think about reciprocity, that a woman would naturally value my happiness as I did hers. The more I realized it doesn't work that way, the more I wondered what the point of relationships is. Once I couldn't answer the question, I went monk and haven't looked back. Look, I do believe that most women have the same underlying traits. So they're all the same in terms of their biology. The vast majority, like 99 point whatever percent, in the same way that the vast majority of men are all the same in their underlying traits. But our very specific qualities that make me up, you know, why you might watch my channel as opposed to somebody else that's talking about similar stuff. That kind of stuff, but in a very personal, romantic sense, you want to subscribe to, you want to have that subscription of one person to your one channel, and you two are both subscribed to each other. And that's the main channel you're both watching. So that specificity is what I talk about. That's where your kind of personal happiness will lie. But the kind of the broad, all women are the same, all men are the same, it's true to a very basic extent, but you will not be happy in your personal life. Because even if you both agree to be empty shells of men and women, and you get along and talk about nothing, then you're going to always feel empty. Your relationship's going to be black and white. In the same way, I've talked about how I changed my work life. I was tired of working corporate. I took time off, and I was tired of my world being black and white. I wanted to make it color. Similarly, if you're tired of black and white relationships, that you just go through the motions of doing what you're supposed to do, like, realize it, like, try and inject some color into your personal life, especially into your romantic life if you are still dating, like by being a very sort of personal about the way you go about it. You want who you want because they match you specifically. It's hard enough to find a person that matches you, but if you don't have the lens of that colorful lens of, I want these colors in my personal life with a person. I'm tired of black and white, boring, dull relationships where I can't stand to be around her for more than a couple of hours at a time. Or as soon as I wake up, I want to go home. It's like, yeah, I got stuff to do, babe. Catch you later. There's too many examples in my life of people I know who have compatible, happy relationships and know they're not lying to me. I talk to them together. I talk to them separately. I talk to the guys. They are happy. They love each other. And you can see why. They are compatible. They speak. They communicate. They trust each other. And it seems corny to a lot of us guys that just don't care about compatibility. We think that all men and all women are the same. But unfortunately, if you don't narrow and become more realistic about who is the only fit for you, you've only got a very, very narrow window of compatibility for you. And everything else you can be entertained by, you can hook up with, have a single life, whatever. But you need to be realistic about who you are and what fits. It's all about you. Not in terms of like selfish again, like your relationship with the person. They just need to be sort of a dog on a leash. But it's all about what you want, and you need to find another compatible person where you're not fighting and compromising. You both want the same things because you're both compatible. David P says, stop treating women as prizes. Treat them with fairness, treat them with kindness. Don't treat them as if they are the end all and be all. Expect more and don't settle for less. Expect what you expect from a good friend. Yeah. Well said, David. A man going his own way says, I always wondered if women use the line, you get men to sedate us into a false sense of security. As an older guy, I express myself differently with women. I tell them what I expect out of them up front. Yeah, that comes with age. I've noticed the older I got, and I speak to other guys who are older, they're much more frank. I think because your hormones kind of go down, you get more realistic, your fear goes down, you've been around the block a few times, you're not naive, you've been an adult, you've lived on your own, you've had a job, you know, the mysteries of life are no longer mysteries. Like, it's kind of a bit more pedestrian. It's like, why am I afraid of this? Either they are going to accept it or not, but you get your answer though. It's a win-win. Be honest with yourself and with them through the way you express yourself, and it's a win-win. I don't know, like the realization is, why would you want to keep a woman in your life that that makes you anxious in certain ways, that causes friction? Human is drinking whiskey. No, I'm not. I don't drink alcohol. I'm not a real man, though. Is that what some of you will say if I don't drink alcohol? Thank you for the super chat donation, Martial Arts Oriental Medicine. His comment is, great to have the human back. Thank you for replying to my email. Please take the info very into account. It's a great defense and treatment. Love your last vid. Very Buddhistic, blastic truth. Many blessings. Thanks, Martial Arts Oriental Medicine. Schlitz Malt Liquor, thanks for the donation. He says, glad you are back. Put this toward the new chiclets. Great content as usual, my man. What are chiclets? Is that an American term? Brand of chewing gum? I don't know. I'm not getting it. Elusive Man says, human, she wants me to fit within the dimensions of her fantasy. That cardboard cutout straight of her telenovela drama. Yeah. Well, again, we got to speak up. Martial Arts Oriental Medicine just sent another donation. Thanks for that. He says, human, have you read the book Designing the Mind, The Principles of Psychitecture? Ryan A. Bush recommended it, and anyone else? Hello, everyone. No, I don't think so. Designing the Mind. I'll look it up. Actually, why don't I just, instead of writing it down. Okay. Okay. No, I haven't. I've seen the cover though. It's popped up as one of the recommendations when I have been sort of looking at books. So, okay. I might give it a shot. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Remember, put a whole bunch of emojis before your question and keep it a sentence long, please. And yeah, keep it respectable. Don't be a spurg. And I have no interest in answering questions about sort of what'll happen in 5 years, politics, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you watch my channel, you kind of know the topics that I'm able to answer. Everything else will be, I'll give you a pedestrian answer as though you just asked like a normie in the street. So it won't be very much value for you or anyone else. Realistic Delinquent says, human, do you find that your patience wanes when you try to guide someone through your thinking, as if it should be obvious? Or are you used to not having people understand you? Depends on who I'm talking to. I know I can tend to waffle on. I'm always trying to be more concise, but especially when I listen to, like, again, listen to if you guys listen to the 3-hour chat I just had with a couple of guys yesterday on my chat channel, I always feel like I talk too much. I really do, and it's kind of embarrassing. I think it's because I'm used to, I'm the only one talking here, and so I just go into default mode. And but I think it's good practice for me whenever I do chat with people online to remember I'm not the only person in the room. So to all you guys who I dominate the conversation, I apologize. But when I'm online and we're talking about these subjects, I'm always in this mode. I notice I don't really do it that much when I'm face to face with people. It's this. And so I need to get better at this by not talking too much when I'm in conversation with other people. But then sometimes I notice on Discord, if I consciously stop talking and I want to give people something to say, there's a lot of silence and no one talks for a really uncomfortable length of time. And so I just feel like, well, okay, I'll start talking, or I'll introduce something, or say hello. Hey, how you going, Quaz? How you going, Boffin? I'll just kind of start chit-chatting because there's an uncomfortable silence. But yeah, I think it's just natural. Not everyone's going to understand you, realistic delinquent, and some people will, some people won't. But I'm always trying to be able to get better at communicating exactly the point I'm trying to. The most frustrating thing to me is not kind of getting to the heart of it. You know, I want to pierce the meaning of what I want to get through to the person. I don't want to kind of ambiently just kind of give them an idea. You know, when people say blah, 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 and, you know, whatever, kind of, whatever, and like, and it's kind of like they're trying to give people an impression. I think we've lost the art of language being very specific, like giving a person a very clear understanding of what we're saying, not the ambient feeling. But I think people like the ambience and not directness of an idea or of a thought, because you hear people say it's not what you said, it's how you said it. People care about the feeling of how you express yourself, not necessarily the direct meaning of what you meant. It's like, well, I think you meant this because of the ambient feeling I got from it. It's like, no, listen to exactly what I said. And I think the more of us that can do that, it's not just better for us, it's better for the relationships we try and have as well. You'll also be able to understand, well, they're not listening to me. I know why this relationship isn't working. They're not listening. Like, I'm trying to communicate and they're not communicating back. Ted1775 says, I'm on the fence about human. In what way, Ted? In the most nicest way, not that I care. Because I think we should all be able to kind of be who we want to be, as long as we're fair and respectful to other people. But I'm just interested. Why are you on the fence about me? Hey Joe212 says, hi human, have you thought about a man that has just gotten out of a 10-year marriage and now he tries to understand what's going on with men and women right now? Yeah, I can just kind of imagine how it just feels like he's been dropped on. He was living on Mars and now he's been dropped back on Earth, full of human beings. And he's like, I don't know how to speak, what's going on? Or, more accurately, it's kind of like he's time traveled. He's come back to the present and like he's been living in another world in the past or something. Remember, guys, if you after the stream, a bunch of us get together on my Discord and have a bit of a chat. So if you've got a microphone and know how to use Discord, but specifically you know how to use push to talk, so you're not having a lot of noise come through your microphone. Otherwise, I'll need to mute you. Yeah, jump on Discord and you can have a live chat in real time with myself and a bunch of other people. And it's always open. You can jump on there and chat with, you know, like-minded guys on my channel. Hopefully like-minded. There's a few spurgs there, but the majority of people in my comment section, I'm pretty proud of like the mature discussion going on there. So if you want to continue that, jump on Discord after this chat. Let's wrap up this live stream. We've been going for an hour and a half. I really don't like going up to 2 hours. I try and make it between an hour to an hour and a half. So, all right, have I missed anyone's question or super chat? I don't think so. Some of the questions, I don't know how to answer them, guys, so I won't even bother. I'll just be saying, I don't know. No idea. Emmett says, is having a child selfish? Yes. He says, not from the point of view of the world is bad, but because maybe I'd bring someone into the world to lessen the solitude with someone who has little choice but to love me. It's a tricky one. You're aware of it. As long as you can give the child a good upbringing. But if you're putting yourself first above a child, I would say no. Look, I don't have children, but that's my view. Mark says it's humans' eyebrows, something about them. Was this relating to the comment where people are on the fence? They don't know what to think about me. Brad says, I took some time off from YouTube and came back, and human style has changed. The editing has taken on a new form. It has. I have, I think, I've mentioned this a few times. The big change happened to me, I think, when my dad passed away at the beginning of, the whole lockdown stuff. He didn't die because of that, by the way. And then I just kind of, I had a big change where, look, I've always been evolving. If you look at my channel, and this is another reason I've kept like a lot of my old videos, I want you guys to see my progression as a person, how I've been going my way and doing my thing, and it's been about me evolving. And so I have changed, and I'm enjoying making videos much more, and I'm trying to be more positive, not in terms of giving you a message per se, but for my own life. I want my life to be better. I don't just want to be defensive and negative all the time. Yeah, there's a place for that, especially as the first step. But past that, if it's just kind of a groundhog day of negativity, defensiveness in my cage, that's bad. That's bad. If it's all apathetic, then I'm tired of it. I want to enjoy the last half of my life. Really, I really do. I want to be sensible. I want to take calculated risks in the directions that I see, sunshine. I just complete safety. I've done it for like a decade or so, and it was good. It was great at the start. When I moved into my own place, it was really great and liberating. And it's not that it's not, but I just realize I'm living I was living as the 30-year-old me still in my 40s. And yeah, I just leaned in the direction where I felt I needed to. So it's kind of a personal journey, but I have changed, and my editing style has changed and everything, and I'm quite aware of it, and I'm enjoying it. And stop fighting against the algorithm as well. Stop fighting against, this video had a lot of views. Let me make the exact same topic again in this way. Oh, this one didn't do well. Why didn't it? And getting frustrated, and no. Okay, any more questions, guys? If not, let's wrap this up. Just the guy says, if you're talking about romantic relationships, chemistry is what makes the difference, not compatibility, which is not to say it's not also important, but it's secondary. Is that just semantics though? What's the difference between chemistry and compatibility? Am I being naive? I'm not just trying to kind of raise a question for like just to be non-agreeable, but what's the difference between chemistry and compatibility? Are you talking like compatibility, you can actually point to things, whereas chemistry is just this ambient connection that like you get along and you don't really know why, you just feel it as soon as you're with the person. But then again, when you can actually point to why you get along, like I feel great with this person, I enjoy being in this situation. And then when you understand why, when you can actually say, oh, I know why, I can point to the why, then that sort of gives you a more grounding sense of security with the thing. That's what I think anyway. So maybe that's what you mean. Compatibility is more sort of ontological or structural, whereas like chemistry is just kind of ambient and a feeling, and you feel good in the situation. But then that's kind of dangerous, because a lot of guys just think, oh, we have a lot of chemistry, but you just like each other. You want each other. your biology wants each other, and you're smiling and all that kind of just first steps stuff. But yeah. Did I muddle my way through that? Okay, girls, girls. A few girls here. All right, let's wrap it up. Been an hour and a half. For those of you with a microphone, jump on Discord after this. I'll pop in and have a chat with you guys. And I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you share the videos around as well. Like, subscribe, support the channel any way you feel fit. Feel like you want to, see fit. And I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.